Aloha, I'm Representative Gene Ward, and I'm the host for today's Better Government series. This is hopefully the beginning series of an interview with the outgoing members of the Lingle administration cabinet directors. Today we have the honor of having Ted Liu, Director of DBED. Ted, welcome to the show. And
Representative, thank you.
It's, as I was reviewing for today's meeting, I saw a very, very impressive resume. You're not only a lawyer, but you're a venture capitalist. You headed up Morgan Stanley, China and Hong Kong, Taiwan. You headed a Wall Street law firm. You've worked at the New York Stock Exchange. You have a BGS degree in economics and political science. Why would you have wanted to join the Lingle administration with a resume like this?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity of appearing with you on this very important show. Very simply, we moved to Hawaii around the year 2000. I'd lived in Hong Kong by that time for about 10 years, and prior to that in New York, doing the various jobs that you mentioned. And in my first 2 years in Hawaii, Hawaii was everything that we had thought as a family it would be. It's a wonderful place, a unique place in this world. We picked Hawaii because I thought it was going to be very unique.
So it wasn't the governor, it was really Hawaii.
It was Hawaii. Well, what got me here was Hawaii. But my first couple of years, I was part of a group that was doing private equity investments, venture capital investment. And I could see
that was the
Pacific Cap.
Pacific Cap Group.
That's right.
You co-founded.
Together with two other partners. And we could see tremendous potential in Hawaii in many, many sectors. But as we tried to do business, every time we asked the question, why couldn't something get done? The answer was always, that's just the way it is. That's the way the system is. You know, we don't do things differently here in Hawaii. You know, and it was, I wouldn't say it was frustrating. It was quite a revelation trying to do that business. So when Governor Lingle got elected in the year 2002, end of 2002, I felt that it was an opportunity for me to possibly provide some input into the administration. And through some friends, I was introduced to a committee that was looking for the director of DBED. And I had a lot of ideas that I gave people as to what I thought DBED ought to be doing. And end of the day, the committee turned to me and said, Ted, you got all these ideas. The governor is not signing off on some of the other names that went up. Why don't you put your name in for the job? And I did. And I interviewed with the governor. And I recall, Gene, it was December 26th, 2002. Absolute truth. Day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas.
Was my first time ever meeting the governor.
Is that right? In an interview for the position of head of DBED.
And about a week later, she appointed me to my position. And at that meeting, I gave her a lot of my thinking as to why Hawaii was special, Hawaii's role in an increasingly globalized economy, where I thought our special advantages, assets, and resources were, and how I would approach the job. And I think the governor liked it and appointed me to my position.
Very impressive. So it wasn't sort of an inside, somebody knew somebody who knew somebody. You basically came off the street, never met the lady before.
That's right.
Signed up and said you had the vision and the ability in the background.
I think the governor was looking for new ideas and new approaches.
Let's rewind to when you started out, January of 2003.
Right.
Did you have a chance then to implement some of that stuff? Because we're going to go sort of through the first administration, first Lingle administration, and the second. Some of the things that you were able to do in the process of not only being her cabinet director, but also being who you were as a venture capitalist, as a lawyer, as a stock market, and a China specialist.
Right. All of that. Well, you know, I look at the last 7.5, almost 8 years, in its totality. Now, we could break it down in terms of every year in that 7
However
year
way
span,
you wish to look at it.
I think we have. I think in a whole range of things. Now, people always ask me, you know, what does DBED do? What is the function?
Let's go back to the basics.
That's right. What is the function of an economic development department? You know, and in general, it's really to try to look after the economy, look after how businesses can get business done in Hawaii, create jobs, create value, you know, and through jobs and creating value, achieving for our people the standard of living, the lifestyle that everybody desires and deserves living in Hawaii. So that's in general. That's all fine and dandy in terms of high-level stuff. But specifically, I think we were charged with making sure that we improved our business environment. Made it easier for businesses, all businesses, not just small businesses, but established businesses, not just emerging sectors, but our traditional sector. Made it easy for business to do business the right way, which is,
One of the slogans that the governor had was now Hawaii is open for business.
open for business. You know, and I think what people need to remember is in our 7 years, 8 years in office, we did have the opportunity of presiding over one of the strongest periods of economic growth in recent memory. I mean, I remember when we started out, it was still pretty tough. We had a budget deficit, about $300 million of deficit, you know, and we were still puzzling over what to do. And over 04 to about 07 and 08, Gene, we had the strongest economy, strongest growth in the nation, lowest unemployment rate, highest levels of personal income growth, very strong GDP growth. It was coupled with some inflationary pressures, but overall our economy was doing good.
What were the success factors in that? Even though I know there was a lot of momentum going nationwide at the time, we were still the lowest unemployment at 2.2 or 2.4. What are some of the key things that you think accelerated or helped the wind to your back even become more of a thrust?
And you mentioned one of them. You know, we are and have been an administration that was known to be open for business. And it wasn't just a slogan. We wanted to make sure that the regulatory burdens were eased, that we cut the cost of doing business to the extent possible by lowering fees. We wanted to make sure that the tax environment was fair, level playing field. We wanted to make sure that businesses had access to the right resources, and they had confidence. And I think we saw a tremendous amount of investment made in Hawaii during that period of time.
Do you have any numbers on the investment? I was just at a Hong Kong seminar. They said 60 billion went into China through Hong Kong just in the last like 18 months. It was phenomenal.
I don't have the specific figures, but if you take a look at the number of projects that were done, both in terms of residential, commercial, investments in businesses, you know, some businesses came in, started up, that had tremendous promise that I thought would be good for the economy, and they're still here. And so I think, you know, that was to me part of the evidence of us giving confidence to the markets, facilitating the doing of business. We did things like made sure that the Small Business Regulatory Review Board was given its full and rightful place in reviewing state regulations, making sure that they were not overly burdensome on small businesses, because that's the backbone of our economy. So that was part of what we did. We also took a look at, Gene, what we felt were going to be some big fundamental drivers of our economy. So when people ask me, what is economic development about? I say it's not about a small tool to work on this big engine of the economy. We've got to take a look at those broad policy areas where government can impact, which helps everybody do business, create wealth. And so one area that we looked at was workforce development, human capital, investing in human capital, making sure that we had the skill set, not only in our students, but also in our workforce, that allowed our economy to be competitive in the 21st century. And so various things that we did was, you know, the stress on STEM education, the ability...
Did that fall out of just looking at the workforce in general and then STEM came out of it?